All right, friends, we're on to chapter 11 now. Chapter 11, we're not going to, it's not as long as chapter 12 was, but let's get into it a little bit. We're talking about aquatic biodiversity, and so fisheries and things along those lines. So let's start with section 1 here. So first of all, we don't know a lot about aquatic biodiversity. So we know very little about both marine and freshwater ecosystems, relatively speaking, and the biodiversity interactions of them. We know much more about land-based or terrestrial-based stuff. So the greatest marine biodiversity, of course, we know happens at coral reefs, estuaries, and in the deep ocean floor. And the reason why is that biodiversity is higher near the coasts, bottom habitat, because of access to sunlight and nutrients are the combinations that result in that. Now, we know that aquatic habitats are being degraded, and they're being degraded quickly. And we know a lot of the reasons why. If you remember Hippocope, that is what we're going to talk about in reference to aquatic habitats here. So the first one here is H. If you remember, it's habitat destruction. So we are destroying a lot of aquatic ecosystems. So we've destroyed or disrupted huge quantities of coastal, marine, and freshwater ecosystems throughout the world. So about 20% of coral reefs, for instance, we've destroyed. We've destroyed about a third of the mangrove forests, and we've done that mainly for shipping lanes for big, huge crops and things like that. And then we've also aggravated a lot of them with dams and drawing water out of rivers and lakes. So all of those things have resulted in a lot of loss within that aquatic world. Next is the I, invasive species. So invasive species have really threatened and changed biodiversity on the planet. Now if you want to take your boat out of state, you got to stop at the state line and get it checked for organisms and stuff. That didn't happen when I was a kid. And the reason why is we have had bioinvaders that have really destroyed large swaths of aquatic environments. I'll show you a video later on that will illustrate that in the Great Lakes. About 2/3 of fish extinctions in the United States are a result of other creatures moving in that shouldn't be here. And so invasive species are a large problem. Next, population, P. So almost half of the world's population lives on or near coastal areas, 80% of them of the ocean water. And so, as a result, huge populations of people in coastal areas along the ocean are resulting in lots of biodiversity loss in that world. And then the other P, pollution. It's a lot of land-based human activity that results in problems within the water. So nitrates and phosphates from fertilizers that are running off, which leads to eutrophication, an excess growth of plant material, which then kills off all the oxygen in an area, which then results in an anoxic environment that kills the water and soil, basically. And then other toxic pollutants from industrial waste and things along those lines. Next, climate change. So climate change is resulting in some problems around the globe. So global warming has affected sea levels and aquatic biodiversity threatened. So you can think of like a coastline or a coral reef. It has to be specific temperatures of water and at specific depths in the water, in the ocean water, for things to grow properly, and those are creating problems. Swamps and low-lying islands are being affected by this, and then many more coastal wetlands and stuff are being invaded, and problems are being created as a result of excess water. O, the last one, is O, and this one's a big one, overexploitation, in this particular case, overfishing. So this is maybe one of the biggest ones we should worry about, I think, when it comes to the aquatic world. About 75% of the world's commercial value is overfished. We're overfishing the vast majority of our oceans and our freshwater lands, and that's a really big problem. So it's harder and harder to find big fish. Huge tuna and sailfish and things like that just aren't as common as they used to be. And once those are gone, of course, then smaller fish are going to start being fished more and more, and as a result, less and less of those. And so we call this commercial extinction. we'd have so few of them that they're no longer profitable to continue to use or maintain, and as a result, we're going to lose out on those things. Bycatch. And so in addition to just fishing for huge tuna, for instance, and creating commercial extinction from those, we also have bycatch that happens. And this is where we catch things in nets that we didn't intend to catch. Like, for instance, the shark. We weren't fishing for the shark, but the shark got caught in our net, and as a result, we're in trouble. So we throw 30% of fish we catch, throw away 30% of them, because we didn't mean to catch them all in the nets. And so that's creating its own problem. So the way that the fish are being harvested with these big commercial fishing systems is also a problem. And so they use a lot of different techniques. This is a fish farming cage, where they just lower the cage in water and do that. And it creates intense population and pollution right here, which can destroy this land area. We have spotter airplanes that fly and look for big schools of fish that would then come in with trawlers, fishing big nets, and we swoop them all up. We can use sonar to detect them. So we're really good at getting a hold of them. But as a result, we have all these big, huge netting systems that we use. And those create problems. For instance, fish can get caught in these big, huge nets. Fish that aren't supposed to be caught in there, like dolphins, for instance. I think that's on an upcoming slide, but dolphin-safe tuna, for instance. You hear about it in the stores all the time. Dolphins can get caught in these nets and killed. We also, those nets get drug across the bottom, and so we can take beautiful, developed bottoms of the ocean, and a trawler can just rip that to shreds. And so these are lots of things that we need to watch out for when we talk about commercial fishing. So that's the end of that first section. Told you it was quick.